Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the first episode of my new series called as Back to Heyday. Yes, finally back on Heyday, and I'm so excited. And what better way to start than taking care of my crops? Now, for those of you who don't know, crops have always been important to me because when I used to make my content in the early days, I would always start my videos with the crops. And since then, I've kind of made the crops as like my main motto. Every time I start the video, I start any series, I do it with the crops. And that's why I'm going to start with the crops. In this video, I'm going to take care of my crops and of course my silo. So it's going to be a little crop and silo gameplay with little bits of tips. So I think I'm just going to get started. This is my day one. And I would say that I'm a little lazy. I definitely lost my motivation over the past couple of months because they've been so tough and very energy consuming. So I was like, I really need to play Heyday. I just can't deal with that anymore. So here I am. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to bring my silo into the spotlight over here. I don't even know what it's doing there. I always keep my barn and silo in the front of my eyes. Like anytime I log in the game, I would see them right here. So my silo is currently 6,550. And I need a lot of tools to upgrade it. Screws are my rare tools. I don't get them. Nails are my most common. As you can tell, I still have 139. Now, how to take care of your silo and crops? Well, your priority should be that you should always have a decent number of all the crops in the game. It shouldn't be like you don't have one or two crops or you have too many of all the crops. And you should be able to harvest your crops. Like you guys are going to see right now. I do have space, so I'm doing good space-wise, but I didn't really have space a couple of days ago. It's just Rose is using up all my crops. So thank you, Rose, for that. And if you guys have a look at my silo, you can see that I still have a lot of crops that are missing and the fruits as well. Normally, I keep about 20 to 30 of the fruits in my silo. I usually let them stay on the trees unless I really need them. That's a very effective tip. If you don't have a big silo, you don't need to harvest your trees or bushes, you just let them stay there. But of course, if you have a bigger silo, 8,000, 10,000 maybe, you can have as many fruits as you want. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to sell the crops that are not needed. Over the past couple of months, I've not been making the products, and that's the reason I've got a lot of crops. So I would suggest you guys, if you want to make the products, that's what I'm going to say. If you come into the game after a long time and you don't know where to start, and let's just say that you're starting with the crops, make the products. The products are going to consume a lot of your crops. I'm not going to do that because the machines is going to be another episode and we'll talk in more detail there. But the crops help a lot. At higher levels, if you make the products in your machines, I can actually use up to 200 to 300 of my silo space, which is crazy. But for the moment, I'm just going to sell the crops that I don't need. Now, there's some crops that I always keep in a maximum amount just because they're so important, like the wheat and the corn. It would be funny to think why I keep a lot of wheat because you can easily find wheat in the paper. No, that's wrong. You really can't find wheat, or even if you do, I think it's sold pretty easily. I'm not sure how the things are going in the paper at the moment since I've been away from Heyday, but you can see there's only one person selling wheat in the paper. It's so rare, like you just can't find it. So my tip would be to keep a lot of it, especially if you're a high-level player. There are so many products in the game that require a crazy amount of wheat. I can never have enough wheat and eggs in the game. And the same case with the corn. It's also kind of rare, but I mean, you can find it, to be honest. Now, I do follow the rule of a limit. I have a limit and I keep all my crops according to that limit. And that limit, if you don't know, is about 150 to 160, except for wheat and corn. I always keep 200 of that. This limit depends on two things. Number one, your level, and number two, your silo space. If your level is higher, obviously you're going to have a lot of crops, and if your silo space is bigger, you can store a lot of crops. If you have baby farms, honestly, that's helpful. That's going to help you because you can store some crops there. Like I don't store cotton and tomatoes on my main farm. Like you guys can see, I still don't have a lot of them. That's not a problem. I do have a lot on my baby farms. So that really helps. I don't have to worry about these crops. But the rest of the crops, I do have to manage. Now, there are some crops that even if they dip below 100 amount, I'm okay. Usually, they are pumpkins, and I'm going to say indigo, and sometimes strawberries because they're so common in the paper. Like you guys can see, some people are still selling indigos. Pumpkin is kind of rare at the moment because we're having this egg event right now, you guys can see, and one of the eggs here required pumpkins. Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to find that in the paper, but normally pumpkin is not that rare. So I don't keep a lot of that. And you know what? I'm just going to start selling a lot of crops that are not needed. It kind of helps me to manage my silo better. I can keep a lot of crops in my silo. Now, some crops are rare, some are not rare. Some are very common, some sell for good money, like tea leaves, strawberries. These crops can actually give you a lot of money. So if you want to make money, these are the way to go. Now, the crops also take a different amount of time. And what I do when I'm active in the game, when I'm playing the game, I would always plant the crops that don't take a lot of time. For example, the first page is the crops that get used a lot, especially in the animal feed. So when I come in the game after a lot of hours, I would manage these crops because they just take like 10 to 30 minutes. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm managing my farm, when I wake up in the morning, it literally takes me 30 to 35 minutes to do all these things. So meanwhile, I'm doing my farm things, my crops can get ready and I can manage them. So that's the reason I always manage these crops. Especially when I wake up in the morning, I don't plant them before I go to bed. And you really shouldn't make that mistake. You should always plant the crops according to the time. If you're playing the game, if you're active in the game, if you know that you're going to be in the game for at least 20 to 30 minutes, you need to plant the crops like soybeans, carrots, maybe pineapples. If you're going to be gone from the game for a long time, let's just say you're sleeping, you're in college, you're at work, then you should go with the crops that take a longer time. I always plant tea leaves and peonies when I'm sleeping, sometimes strawberries too, but as I mentioned, strawberries are not that rare. Sometimes I can find them in the paper, so that's not my concern. You can see that I don't have a lot of watermelons, so I'm definitely going to plant that. Anytime my crop is below 130 or 100, I need to plant that. Those are the things I do to manage my silo, and it's been good. And of course, you never stop upgrading your silo. Make sure that you're always upgrading your silo. The more, the better. I'm doing good since I don't harvest and I don't keep a lot of fruits. I don't need to keep them. As I mentioned, they're better left off on the trees and the bushes. So yeah, that's effective. Now let's see what I can do over here. You can see that some crops I'm low on, especially the watermelons. Now this is a crop that I would plant when I'm going to bed. And I was talking about the rice. Now rice are very important because you make sushi and they get used a lot. So I'm just gonna plant them right now. They take 45 minutes. And I know that I'm gonna be around so I can come back in the game after 40 to 50 minutes and I can easily harvest them. I can do the same with the cucumbers. I have 130, so I'm just gonna plant a bunch like this. Of course, it all also depends on your fields. I'm a level 246 farmer, and at this point, I've got 201 fields, which, if I have to be honest, they're not a lot. We always need more fields, but I'm doing good. Yeah, so let's see what other crops can I plant. I'm done the mushrooms. I don't need to plant them. The clay takes a lot of time, so I would not go with that. Another tip would be never leave your fields empty. This is the tip that I specifically remember learning from my brother 11 years ago when I started Hay for the very first time. I was a really bad player. I just didn't know how to play Hay. My fields would be empty all the time. My machines would not be running. My animals would be dead. And he would always scold me. He was like, "What are you doing? You don't even know how to play this game? Fields. Plant some crops." So he would snatch the phone from me and he would start planting the crops. And I'd be like, okay, that's fine. So yeah, never leave your fields empty. Even if you don't need any crop or you think you're good on the crops, you can do the weeding if you have time, or you can plant the crops to give you the money, especially the tea leaves or any crops depending on your level. The chamomile takes 20 minutes, so I think I'm just going to plant a bunch of that. You guys can see that I don't have a lot of potatoes, and I would definitely plant the potatoes. I can plant them when I'm not going to be in the game for a couple of hours, maybe not before I'm going to bed, because usually I prefer the crops that take about 6 to 8 hours, but that's not a compulsion. At the end of the day, you really need to see what crops are you missing, and you need to plant those crops. Sometimes I can even plant rice before I go to bed. It's not a hard to fast rule. You don't always have to do this. Exceptions are always there. But that's literally what I do. So let's plant some potatoes as well. And I'm sure that when I come back in the game, when I'm going to harvest my crops, I would have a good amount of them. And you can see that I still have a lot of space in my silo. I haven't started making the products yet, but I'm sure what I'm going to do, it's also going to help my silo. And apart from that, I still need to harvest my trees and bushes. So yeah, that's gonna matter as well. And with that being said, this concludes my first episode of the Back to Haiti series. I will be back for more episodes. There's gonna be, I think, 4 to 5 more, which I hope you guys enjoy. If you've got any more tips, please share them in the comments. Subscribe to the channel for more fun Haiti content. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day.